Hey, good evening, Facebook and YouTube. What's up, Keisha?
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. Hey, listen for everybody that's joining in. Hopefully, people from the group join in. We just had one to go live. We just talk about a couple issues. Shakita was supposed to join us, but she couldn't join us tonight. And one of the issues that we wanted to talk about was the Breoanna Taylor issue. Anybody that's in the group watching, if you want to participate in the show, you're more than welcome to join us with the comments and be in the show. We want to discuss just two quick issues, and one of them is the Breonna Taylor issue of uh, of the settlement. Uh, I'm gonna read the article, and then me and Keisha will discuss it, and we'll go from there. And I'm gonna just read the article, the one source from USA Today. If y'all don't mind, just hold up 1 second. Hold up. I don't want to just let everybody know that her family. Hold on. Well, her family reached Breonna Taylor's family reached a settlement with Louisville, Kentucky, for $12 million, and also within the settlement, it's allegedly some police reform. Before the judges before they get a warrant to search as well, they also have to shift supervisor. For those that don't know, with Breonna Taylor shooting, they raided the wrong house. It was a no knock warrant. No knock warrants is very famous in some states. This is what they do when they feel like the person that they're going to arrest is a high risk for maybe running or wanted for serious charges. They have these things called no knock warrants in many states. So with Breonna Taylor's case, she was killed accidentally, allegedly, by officers serving a no knock warrant. They had allegedly charged her boyfriend at first with charges because he had shot back at the police. He didn't know who they was. So the case is well known. So we're just gonna give a little backdrop on the case. So allegedly, Keisha, the family settled for $12 million. What's your thoughts, Keisha?
I mean, I guess I understand why they would settle. I mean, I don't understand why the people aren't convicted prior to the settlement. I mean, I think the settlement is going to come either way. I feel like that makes you frustrated as a protester of it. That you looking for justice, you looking for the police to go to jail, and it's almost as if money um absolves or corrects everything. Money doesn't fix it when the person is not coming back. Then I look at it as a taxpayer. I'm a black woman. So when you think about it, you're burying your people and you're paying for it.
Mm.
So, you know,
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
just
really feeling the settlement.
I'm gonna just read a portion of the article. It said, after months of protests that turned Breonna Taylor's name into national slogan against police violence, city officials agreed to pay her family $12 million and institute changes aimed at preventing future deaths by officer. The agreements announced Tuesday settled a wrongful death lawsuit brought by the young woman's family as her mother, her lawyers, and leading activists walked into the council chambers alongside the mayor. There was a momentary show of unity after months of nightly, sometimes violent demonstrators that have left Kentucky's largest city boarded up. It comes 6 months after the death of Miss Taylor, 26-year-old emergency room technician, in a botched drug raid. But before the state's attorney general has said whether the officers involved in the shooting a key demand of protesters. My administration, this is the statement from the mayor, my administration is not waiting to move ahead with needed reforms to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. Um,
They're
just
not
to,
prepared to move ahead.
they said they don't want to wait. Basically, the
Oh,
mayor
okay.
said he don't want to wait until something happens again before they do reform. One of the notes that we want to say is that Tamika Mallory and my son are activists that have been down there. I know that both of them made statements in reference to the settlement and said that this settlement usually happens in every case like this, and they're not going to rest until justice. Um, as somebody who is a huge supporter of what Tamika Mallory and my son does, I understand what they're saying. However, this situation I believe is a little tricky, and I think that most people don't understand it. When you do, Keisha, have a civil suit, most civil suits are not an admission of guilt, and most civil suits usually require NDAs. Keisha, as somebody that does some things with contracts, could you explain that a little bit?
So you can't disclose whatever you agree to. That's what you signed in the way, so you can't talk about it. Um, Again, I like Tamika Mallory. Is she getting paid? Is my son getting paid? Like money changes, uh, changes the scenario for a lot of people, and I'm gonna say in these type of circumstances, money changes it a lot for Black people. Um, $12 million. I guess that's a good settlement. I don't believe she had any kids, so you know, $12 million is not going to replace my son. I'm not going to be happy with a $12 million settlement. That's me. But I also understand on the reverse, you get that kind of money, the things that you could do with that kind of money. So I get why people are conflicted, but I would want those people in the jail, under the jail, in the jail for life. So I guess that's where I struggle with some of these settlements. The money gonna come anyway because they listen.
Yeah, that's Keisha. That's one of the things that we had discussed before, like and I even had put it to the group because I know that a lot of people do have some type of law in their background and know a little bit about case law. Is that this case is a little different than the usual cases of police brutality and so forth and so on. This case, it involves basically a mistake, and I hate to say it like that, and I'm not trying to minimize her death. I'm actually trying to shed some light to it. Is that when the no knock warrant, when they got to the house and busted the house, her boyfriend started shooting because he thought they was intruders. They were shooting back in the house. They shot so many bullets in the house, they went to the next apartment. Unfortunately, our sister Breoanna Taylor died. Who My whole thing has always been when people say justice for Breoanna Taylor, which she does need justice, is if you're an officer, I always try to ask people if you put yourself in an officer's shoes, if the officer did not get the warrant and he just happened to be there, is he liable? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's not liable, but I'm just saying I'm asking people in the chat and I'm asking people, is he liable? A lot of us may think he's liable because he should have known or not. I don't know. I'm not that well versed of Kentucky law and what's liable. But to speak on what you're speaking about is that a lot of times we'll see that people get killed and we'll be out on the mountaintops hollering for justice for the person, and you don't see their family out protesting because the family signs non-disclosure agreements within these settlements. I mean, it's happened numerous of cases. Um, Unfortunately, even with Eric Garner's case, I mean, some of his family got some money, and then one of his daughters died fighting for justice for Eric Garner, never got it. And it's like it continues happening this way. Like we
What
always
was the
getting.
one that we talked about earlier? The one who fiance? Who
We was
was
talking about
that?
Sean Bell. We
Yeah.
was talking about Sean Bell. Sean Bell's case is the same thing. That, from what I understand, with his case, they gave his fiance some money, but she never felt as though it was justice. And then the one guy that got shot with him was still trying to fight it. I mean, and this happened with Abba Lawima when he was sodomized by them jokers in New York. I mean, so we see these cases a lot, Keisha, and it's like everybody from celebrities to basketball players have been talking about stars and everybody justice for Breonna Taylor, and at the end of the day, it just came out that they took the bag, and that was quick. I mean, honestly, anybody that know anything about civil suits, 6 months. So it must have been some negotiating going on at least 60 days ago.
It's probably some anarchy. So I'm gonna say this, and I don't want anybody to get mad, but I want them to do some research. A lot of the protesters and the BLM people are um white people will burn this MF down. We won't. We will threaten, we will say we will, but we won't do it because realistically, we just want to be left alone and to be treated like we 100% human. The white people, those people that was a part of the Black liberation and they wanted to join with Malcolm X, he wouldn't allow them. They grandkids done entered the building and they are tearing shit up. So that's the only reason, because Kentucky done $12 million in 6 months. Cases don't move that fast. Cases don't move that fast. Like, we're not recognizing, but with everything going on, it's a lot of tearing up going on in the streets, whether it's the BLM protesters, whether it's the people who don't have no money due to COVID and things not being 100% open. We're not doing as well as what we like to pretend that we're doing right now. And I think people are working to try to get us to some normalcy. So if it's give them some money, so Tamika Mallory and Portia from the Real Housewives and Yandy from Love and Hip Hop, all these people stop coming down here, they're gonna give out some money.
Yeah, one person in the chat said, so what happened if they don't sign the NDN? It's called the NDA, non-disclosure agreement. A lot of times, you don't get
The
nothing
choice.
unless you
Yeah, you
sign
don't
the
have a
NDA.
choice.
The NDA is actually part of the negotiating of getting the money, and this
It's part of
happens
the
in
pack.
a lot of civil cases. Quite sure there's people in the chat that have sued their jobs. This is a known thing in a civil case to get for somebody to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So this is very, very important. That we pay attention to this. And like Keisha said, like for $12 million for a place like Kentucky to give this out so quickly is kind of rare. It's kind of strange, and it's not normal. At the end of the day, I know that, like I said, I'm not going to pass any judgment on my son and Tamika Mallory. I particularly, out of all the activists, these two people have been on the front line, and I believe that they are very sincere in all the efforts that they're doing. However, we got to be mindful of the powers that be that continue doing the same game to us. No, the civil suit is not an admission of guilt. It's not an admission of guilt. It's basically, as they say, I won't contest it. Like if you're in a criminal case and they charge you with something, you'd be like, I won't contest it. It's not an admission of guilt. It's basically, we know something happened. We just want to let it go. And you gonna take this money and we ain't gonna talk about it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, you know the guilty. That's why they've come to some type of agreement. But when the NDAs and all these things come into place, they're not admitting any guilt.
Yeah, basically with the NDA, nobody could discuss the parameters of the case. And they're still looking for criminal charges, and whether the attorney general wants to step in or the Justice Department wants to step in, that's a whole different circumstance. And one of the things that do, I forget which sports team, they asked Mitch McConnell to actually step in. They wrote a letter to Mitch McConnell to step in and try to get him involved because he is over Kentucky, but he hasn't gotten involved as of yet. And so this is something that we just want people to be aware of. And I know it's a lot of frustration when we see this going on with people accepting money during these settlements. Like I said, people hooting and hollering in the street, protesting all across the land for justice for Breoanna Taylor. And then when you see their family take the bag, it's like, really?
Let me tell y'all something. Y'all harp all day about that Donald Trump. If y'all don't get that damn Mitch McConnell out there, no matter who president, that's just another thing that came to my mind.
What, getting Mitch McConnell out of office, huh?
If they don't get that damn Mitch, I don't think that we really understand that Trump is the president and everything else. I don't know if we really understand how much power Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi have. I just wonder, but
yeah, that's a whole
just
nother
my
issue.
2 cents. Yeah,
That's a whole nother issue for another day. And
yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
We'll definitely
I'm
get
gonna
into
digress. I can't. I'm not.
we'll definitely get into that. So that's the latest on the Breoanna Taylor thing. I mean, we don't want to go no further because that's that. One of the other things is that it's a situation going on with ICE where one of the nurses in ICE, one of the nurses at ICE accused the immigrant. They accused ICE whistleblower nurse alleges hysterectomies on immigrant women in U.S. Okay, the complaint condemns the practice and conditions at the private Irwin County Detention Center in Georgia. It is based on the allegations of whistleblower, a nurse identified as Dawn Wooten. She worked at the center, which houses immigrants detained by ICE. As part of a complaint filed Monday, Ms. Wooten expressed concern about the high number of hysterectomies performed on the Spanish-speaking women at the center. The nurse said detained women told her they did not fully understand why they had to get a hysterectomy, an operation involving the removal of all or part of the uterus. The complaint also alleges jarring medical neglect during the coronavirus pandemic, including a refusal to test detainees with symptoms and fabricating medical records. I became a whistleblower. Now I'm a target, Ms. Wooten said at a press conference Tuesday. I'll be a target anytime, she said, rather than staying part of what she called an inhumane system. Speaking to reporters, Wooten alleged gross misconduct at the center with respect to COVID-19 precautions and said she was demoted after protesting the conditions of staying home while symptomatic. So, Keisha, ICE allegedly is giving Spanish-speaking women immigration down in Georgia hysterectomies without them fully understanding what's going on.
Are we surprised? Are we surprised? This is what America does. They got African in them. What kind of Latino?
They didn't say.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. This is what we do.
I'm gonna ask you a question. When we always talk about conspiracy theories, which a lot of us then start speaking about history of definitely the African American, the foundational Black American, the American descendants of slaves in this country we're dealing with. this government and all types of medical experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Is this why you say you're not surprised?
Yes. Hmm. You know
So
how they learn about women's bodies and gynecology? Experimenting on black women. No, I'm not surprised. I mean, and here's the thing about conspiracy theories. Like, I'm not a big, I try to be objective about everything. The conspiracies come from someplace. And many times it's truth to it. It's truth to why a person is a conspiracy. Now, listen, we have some people that's off the wall and they all over the place, but it's reasons why people come up with these conspiracies, right? Because there's some truth to it. The has some truth to it. So, by conspiracy theorists. And I'm also not shocked by why we, particularly black people, I'm even going to say brown people, don't trust anything that happens in the United States. It's a reason why. You didn't just pull it out of the air. Clearly, things have changed, but not really. So that's why people don't trust anything. I don't trust anything.
you think it all goes back to what we discussed before, where when black women go to the doctors and they say y'all got to be strong. Like if you go to the doctor and you tell your doctor you're in
First,
pain.
it's a whole myth. It's a whole that strong black woman thing. I absolutely hate it. That's why when we go to the doctors, they don't pay attention to our pain. Many of us are dying in childbirth because we so strong. So when we tell you that we're hurting, no one believes us. Like I hate that strong black woman thing. So and I get it. I know we look at that as a badge of honor. But it's annoying. I'm a strong woman, yes. I'm still a woman. I still might cry and cut you. Like I'm still a woman. Like I don't, because it's some things I just have to do. It doesn't mean that it doesn't break you down when you do it. It's just that what you have to do. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure if we're so much mentally stronger than any other woman. I don't know. That's just my perspective on it.
One of the things I want people to look at is it's a very good book out. It's called Medical Apartheid, and it's written by Harriet Washington, and
Mm-hmm.
it speaks about the African Americans' experience in America, the medical
Mm-hmm.
experiment, and it speaks about all the experiments that have been taking place on black women in this country.
I mean,
And
we're dying in childbirth now. Like people, having a baby, that's close to death. But in 2020, it should be few and far between of women dying in childbirth. I challenge people to look up how many black women is dying in childbirth. It's more than it should be.
it's more than it should be.
It's more than it should
So
be.
those are just two issues we wanted to shed some light on, Keisha. The Breoanna Taylor situation, like I said, hopefully it's fluid. Hopefully we get some more information in regards to justice.
Wait, it is one issue that I want to touch base on. And believe it or not, we all don't really like politics. But the Bob Woodward thing, right?
Oh, for those
I'm not.
that don't know, Keisha is alluding to Bob Woodward came out and said that he was interviewing President Trump, and President Trump had knew about the coronavirus and knew how dangerous the coronavirus was way before they let the American public know. and Bob Woodward came out. Bob Woodward actually went on 60 Minutes. For those that don't know who Bob Woodward was, Bob Woodward was one of the leading journalists in the Watergate scandal years ago. He broke that story. He's considered a top journalist in this country.
He's a top journalist. Okay. And I'm not excusing Trump. I'm not excusing whoever else was in the room when they told Trump whatever they told Trump.
Allegedly.
I was taught if you know, say something, right? So I may not be a fan of Trump, but he's correct when he said, in my opinion, when he says, if what I knew and what I did was so bad, then Bob Woodward should have said something too. In my opinion, he's correct. As an American, this is why we're wearing masks. I'm wearing masks so you don't get sick. It's not for me. It's for the next person, right? He complicit too. And it just annoys me that we so Trump-tarded right now. We're not seeing that none of these people mean us no good. None of them. So, yeah, that's what because I didn't have any topics. This was your Shakita thing.
Yeah. Do you think that Trump, the president, has allowed himself to be the ultimate deflection for everything that's going wrong with the country? Not allowed himself, but he's like the easy target. So many times, like,
I think we blame him for everything. I do. When some things, like, even if he does a good thing, no one is going to say he's doing a good thing. I mean, I just don't know. And I read it somewhere, and then you and I talked about it, like Nancy Pelosi saying something like, oh, don't work with no Republicans. That's absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I put a police reform article. It was particularly, focused on New Jersey, and it was talking about Tim Scott, who's a Republican, and he had a bill, and nobody from the Democrat side would essentially work with him. That's ridiculous. Like, like, why aren't you guys in this whole thing? We're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
The streets are going crazy. People ain't got no money. You see it in New York. When you look at New York, it's like a nice area here. You turn a corner, it's a not so nice area. They meet in the middle.
Streets gotta eat, Keisha.
Hello?
Streets gotta eat.
We say it. So, and they're moving out of New York in abundance. One of my little contracts, I help a moving company. They moving out of New York in abundance. They going anywhere to get their asses out. It don't have nothing to do with rent. It has something to do with New York ain't safe right now. Pelosi called them back, I think, because of the post office. She called them back to figure out where people's stimulus check is, where to fix unemployment. You got these governors trying to balance a checkbook, and you know how they balancing it? They putting it on to us. Like, yeah, it's bad.
One of the things that we always discuss is, like, every situation that's going on right now becomes political. I mean, they've politicized the mask. In a divide and conquer tactic is being used so serious on our people that we don't even notice it. Where, like you said, the Democrats asked the House to come back in session so they could discuss the post office situation and what's going on with the post office. Just as quickly as they could do that, they could have done it for the stimulus, and even so much now. You had an article earlier where legislators is going behind all their backs and trying to get a bipartisan bill passed because they're tired of the leadership within both of the parties, the House and the
And
Senate.
we need to look at those people that's trying to do that because they care about the people. They know the people is struggling. The post office been struggling. Y'all can put that on Trump all you want to, but the post office been struggling. It's been. The only reason that they called it back is because they worried about votes. They worried about you and I. They worried about votes. So it's not that, and I think in a lot of ways, people think they know us when they don't. It's not about whether I like the Democrats or the Republicans or whether I like Trump or Biden. I don't like any of these MFs. I don't like any of them. None of them mean me any good. That's how I feel. So I say all that to say I'm very objective and can look at all of them. I can look at them. I see through them. And if our whole thing is to get Trump out, it's fine. I don't think it's as easy as what we think it is because it's the demographics that lost them the election. They're not talking to. So we shall see. We shall see.
That's something we discussed. But look, we're gonna wrap the show up because I got something I need to do. I got to take care of some house business in the Facebook group. I have to address that group specifically. But listen, for everybody that joined the show, we appreciate you guys joining the show tonight. We just wanted to address something quick about Breoanna Taylor and as well as the situation with ICE, and then Keisha went into the thing with Bob Woodard. I'm quite sure many people will disagree with her opinion, but everybody has an opinion. We just ask that we try to be objective and as open-minded as possible, and we just try to advocate that. That's what we try to advocate in the group. But sometimes people think that we push an agenda, and they really don't know us personally enough for us to say what agenda we're pushing. Is just an assumption. With that, everybody have a blessed night and stay safe out there.
Good night.
Good night.